Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, the 6th episode of the 2026 NRL Supercoach preseason, proudly brought to you by Morgan's Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We have another week of trial team lists under the belt. We have a weekend of trials under the belt, so we've got a lot of footy we can actually talk about. Vegas is less than 2 weeks away. It's starting to heat up. Exciting times at SC Playbook, in NRL Supercoach, in just general rugby league. It's a good time to be alive. Here to talk through us with us, as always, the SC Spy. Spy, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Coming off a few beers with you and Clementine Sunday Arvo. That was a good little sesh, that. And I've now vowed I'm going to be really healthy until NRL season starts. It's about 10 days. So we're going to go easy there. But no, in all seriousness, it's been a very fun summer. I've had a little bit of freedom, which has been a while, and been to the pub, done some good stuff, but I've just eyed off a couple of weeks' time where I can just sit at home, have a cold beer and turn on the footy, because that is the absolute dream.
I'm going to fly to Cairns next weekend, the Vegas weekend, and for a few days leading in to visit our brother up there and the new chief of the Northern Pride. And I'm just going to, as you said, just lock away that weekend leading in. Any late changes I need to just be switched on, no interruptions. And I feel like Cairns is, potentially a good place to do that. But also on today's show, Matty, the Waterboy. Matty, Bunnies, Reggie's knocking off an NRL quality Dragons. They're probably going to win the comm. Life must be good.
Yeah, when they named that team for the Charity Shield, I wasn't shocked, obviously, because they moved the Charity Shield back to accommodate Dragons going to Vegas. But I just rolled my eyes. I was like, I've watched South's B-grade teams for the last 2 years, especially last year. I'm not that interested. I still watched it, and I deserved what I got because that was, I doubted him. I doubted him, and I shouldn't have. Fantastic win, but I think this week is, I know it's still a trial game, but I think it's the best side we've named in, honestly, it could be 2 years. It really could be. So pretty happy.
And so far, so good on the injury front for the Bunnies. Let's hope it stays that way. Touch wood. We're at a wooden bench, so touch wood.
Just for future record as well, if anyone ever asks me a question, I'll answer exactly what I'm thinking. So magic round, whatever it is, just if you want to know something, I'll tell you.
Be very careful what you wish for, SC Playbook listeners. Alrighty, on today's show now, it is a pod, a point of difference special edition, starting from the back end of the show. Next week, when we have 2 weeks of trials under our belts, we'll have the team list and all of that good stuff. We're going to do a cheapish special. We never want to do it too early because you're just, throwing darts all over the place if you're doing it too early. So we're going to wait until we have a lot more information. Then we can deep dive into the cheapies. But on today's show, Team List Tuesday pointers and the winners and losers from the weekend of trials. We're going to go through the major round one indicators from those trial team lists, including Brandon Smith, who could be about to be rushed into about 100% of teams after being named to start at number 9 for the Bunnies in a strong squad there. We've also got access to the exact player averages from 2025 sourced from Stats Perform, who are the new data provider for NRL Supercoach, and what their 2026 prices should actually be. We are then going to go pod hunting, looking at the sub 10% owned players to separate your team from your Supercoach rivals. But before we do, you can take us on in the SC Playbook unlimitedly. Take on our crew with $1,000 in cash up for grabs. To join, that is 479007. Free to join. A Discord popping off. Channels for every sport. A contributor only one for discussions and trades and all that sort of stuff. Our community chat, our late mail and team news. I've been doing weekly Q&As in there as well with the members of the Discord. If you are a member with an active subscription and want to check it out, go to scplaybook.com.au, go to your account in the menu and click Connect Discord. It is as easy as that. And just lastly, guys, the SC Playbook subscription is also there if you'd like to support us for all the time and effort that goes into the podcast and articles and everything on site across the network. It does get you access to a ton of additional premium articles on site each and every week. In-depth analysis, subscriber podcast questions, unlimited league prize money, and plenty more. We're also expanding with additional subscriber-exclusive podcasts each week. We've already got a few of those from Beers and Break-Evens alongside the Guru, the sub-only pods live at scplaybook.com.au. If you're also into your other Supercoach formats, get you access to our cricket, EPL, NBA, NFL content all year round, and AFL, which launched last week in a cracking studio down in Melbourne with our team there, including a former Supercoach runner-up. Important to note, all these new sports and channels are housed on different sites on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So if you do follow them, go and follow along there. All of that for less than $2 per week at scplaybook.com.au. Spy, Team list Tuesday and weekend recap. And I just want to start with weekend recap. A few of the eye catchers. And, mate, one that under the new stat system I was already interested in. He's always been a bloke that teetered on Supercoach relevance but has never quite been just that. Stephen Crichton, shifting to the left edge for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Played right in the past. He's obviously played left centre at the Penrith Panthers very successfully over there. Whether it's just looking for an attacking point of difference this year at the Doggies, I'm not sure why they've done it, but what it does mean, it puts him on that lethal left edge with Burton, with Viliami Kikau. They attack down there so much. Matty Burton also going down with an unfortunate hamstring injury, has him in doubt for Vegas. Stephen, I've updated my team on the SC Playbook website. Stephen Crichton's come into my team at 600k. I'm really interested.
So am I. Left edge is huge. Like the Doggies, not that they're poor on the right, they're still a good side across the paddock, but the left edge for the Dogs, it's a hot edge. And if Crichton slots in there and goal kicks, we know he kicked a fair bit last year. We didn't kick all year. So even looking at numbers, he's about 65, 66 points a game under the new scoring. He's priced at 61. You probably add another 4 points if he's the full-time goal kicker. That gets him to 70. That's on the right edge. I know he did a bit of time at fullback, but I think it could be a 70-plus average for Crichton. Round 2 or 3 bye, I can't remember what it is. That's not ideal. I tell you what, he could be huge. And he might not average 90, but he's just rock solid.
And I just, like, I'm not a lot of these centres that I'm starting with based on being undervalued, I'm not necessarily locking them in as season keepers. And guys that I want long-term, like, you know, Jacob Kiraz, who I'm now not starting with, I still want them, but it could be the case of going Crichton to Kiraz for a similar price in 4 or 5 weeks' time, kind of thing.
And that's obviously the name of the game of Supercoach. And anyone who's starting out and is new, you pick someone like Stephen Crichton at 600 odd K. Kiraz might be 150k more expensive. Kiraz could lose a bit of money. Crichton makes some money by performing over his average, and you can then trade him for $0. Ideally speaking, it's sort of that's how you play the game and build your value. Because people probably not everyone will know that.
Sure.
That's how you do it. It's how you get it done and get a good side.
Yeah, and I just think with his ball playing and the stronger right to left passing, we saw him put the winger away at one point in that game on the weekend. I just think there's going to be more line assists. I think there's going to be more try assists. We know the Doggies pepper that left edge. So, yeah, I like Stephen Crichton. Tommy Flegler was the other eye catcher for me, mate. 2 years out of the game. Obviously, the way he's come back, he came on for a cameo in that game, and we put a reel up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., wherever you are on socials, and in the space of 1 minute, he had just these 4 defining plays. This is a bloke who's had 2 years out of the game. He ended up with 60 Supercoach points on the weekend in a short period of time. He scored a try. He got held up over the line on another one. Not one for me round 1 because the Dolphins are so stacked in their pack. I just think they're going to ease him back into minutes. Gun to head, I reckon I'm buying Tom Flegler like round 7 or 8 once. Price probably doesn't change too much and the minutes start to come back. Geez, he look good.
Yeah, and sort of he can sit on your bench. You don't have to start him, but he's a pretty handy backup in your pack there. He's traditionally only played sort of that 43 to 47 minutes a game, so it's not that far he has to get up. But I agree, there's a lot of minutes to go around at the Titans. The Dolphins, and let's see what happens. But I mean, awesome to see Tommy back and fit and firing. So hopefully he can stay healthy, the big fella, heading into the season.
Helam Luki at the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, like, we all have our players that we have bias towards and we want to get into our teams, all those sorts of things. And Luki is one of those guys for me. And he's actually also made his way into my team for Jermaine McKeown. We're going to get to Jermaine McKeown a little bit later. And I've updated these changes in the article on site. But, look, they obliterated a reserve grade outfit on the weekend at best, and the Cowboys were near full strength. So don't look into it too much, but mate, he's priced at $404,000. Didn't feature last season, so he's at a price reduction. We've got Jeremiah Nanai as well, who's missing the early stages of the season. So look, he might not start straight back on 80 minutes, but the fact that Nanai's out there, a little light on edges, I don't think they can really afford. I don't think they have the depth in the back row to ease him back through 40 or 50 minutes. I think he gets his 60, and I'm hoping that maybe by around 3, 4, 5 sort of thing he gets to 80. He's looked tremendous.
Yep, big Helam Luki fan myself. Just a horrible injury history is always concerning. that combined with what minutes he might play early, because they obviously want to look after him to some degree and get him back in rugby league fit, just has me a bit concerned. But in saying that, a couple of years ago, he averaged 52 in 59 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Come out and do that, would be handy going, and he could average more with bigger minutes, and he's a little bit older now, so obviously Peyton up there as well. He's under a bit of pressure from a coaching viewpoint, so he won't necessarily be... I mean, obviously you want to look after your players, but if you're one of your better players is on the paddock, you want to keep him there. So he's bloody intriguing. I wouldn't put a line through him in my side yet, but the injury history scares me a little bit. But at that price, of course, I could slide him in my side round one.
It looks outstanding to me. So, yeah, one that I'm more than intrigued with it is in my teams at stand. So I just think, I've said it before, I think if he stays fit, that he can play Origin this season. And, mate, the last one I wanted to touch on, we could be here for 3 days talking about the eye catchers and the winners, the losers and all that, but the big bustling front rower at the Manly Warringah Seagulls, Simeone Layoff, front rower, he looked devastating on the weekend. Whether or not he'll be Supercoach relevant, I don't know, around minutes and being a big boy, but he's priced at $201,000 and just could be a slow-burning fourth front row forward option to begin the season. We'd probably need to see... It'll come down to team list Tuesday for round one. Probably more of an eye-catcher at the moment.
He could not be more eye-catching. I was sitting there watching it with my mate Chucky, and we both went, who's this fella? Number 8 or 10 he was wearing, and gee, has a crack. He's a big body. He's but he seemed like he's got a little bit of speed and power. He's young, so I guess the other question is, how many minutes is he going to handle in the NRL? It's obviously a very fast step up from like New South Wales Cup, whatever it may be, but I mean, that fourth front row spot is often pretty ordinary.
Well, you've got Royce Hunt there at the moment, so seriously, like, make the switch.
No, I've got Ethan Roberts now.
Oh.
Nuffy, dual position.
Oh, you've nuffed.
Well, if you're going nuff anyway, that's the spot.
You're better nuffing than Royce Hunt. I wish I did that last year. Anyway. We're not oracles, are we?
We'll see. But, yeah, what I'm saying is the kid looks a hell of a talent, but obviously it's a big step up to first grade. We'll see. We'll see front row options. We'll see team lists and go from there.
Oh, this will get you up. 9 games of Cup last season. Started off the interchange bench. By round 20, he was starting prop. Minutes, 56, 46, 31, 49, 48 and 57. So he's got the engine there. In terms of tackle breaks, 2, 2, 1, 4, none, 1, 7 in round 26 against the Jets in 57 minutes. So he's got at least somewhat of a motor. Few missed tackles in there, but nothing dramatic. Tackles.
Nothing dramatic. 5, 5, 8.
Yeah, well. I was looking at the 0, 1, 1. There were some good ones there as well. Let's just be kind to it. He's a young kid.
Plenty of meters. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's
so, a monitor.
He's got potential.
He's named on the... Not that it means everything, but he's named on the extended bench this week in TLT. Matty, the Waterboy, any eye catches for you?
On the weekend, I would... Not specifically one player, but... I really, really liked how the Titans kind of changed the way they play. I thought that when they were on the attack, I actually thought they were quite poor, but that's obviously because they didn't have their guns, right? But kind of their work from inside their own half all the way up to about the 20, I thought they were a completely different team. And then if you drop those absolute guns in there, like Campbell, AJ Brimson, Kinney, et cetera, I reckon they're going to score heaps of points this year. I don't know how many games they'll win, but I reckon they'll either win a lot of games, they'll win games or they'll lose games, but they'll still score 5 or 6 tries. So what I took away from the weekend is I think I'm going to have more Titans than I've ever had.
Fun.
What could possibly go wrong?
I know, but it's a risk I'm going to take. Like someone like AJ Brimson, for example, like I reckon he could explode this year. Again, I don't know if the Titans are going to make the finals, but the Josh Hannay way of playing, I know we've only seen a little tiny game, but it's made me really, really optimistic about them from a Supercoach perspective.
Yeah, Supercoach isn't one with defence, Matty, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. So that's what I took away from the weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, that segues nicely into Team List Tuesday, and there's tons to take out of it as well. And we'll start with the Gold Coast Titans, but the young winger, Fayamani, starts on the wing this week in a strong Titans outfit, along with Josh Paxton, who starts on the edge, also played on the weekend. So,
beautiful.
I mean, I think it's a case of, and again, to Matty's point, we don't really give a rat's in Supercoach about win-loss record. We care about points being scored and can my players be involved.
I like my teams losing 44-42.
Yeah.
If you've stacked them,
Points
that's
great. So, I mean, it's simple as, if Patson's starting back row for the Titans, you pick him, and Fayamani will be hard to avoid as well if starting on the wing. But starting at the Warriors game rather than the Titans, the Warriors and the Dolphins, and we're not going to go through every single team list. NRL.com, you can go and check them out. We will have our full team list Tuesday analysis on the Playbook website back from next week as we get those first two games from Vegas, the deep dives into those ones of a Tuesday afternoon. But the Warriors, Tane Tuapiki named despite an injury concern. So not major Supercoach relevance, but all the chat was that he was unavailable to begin the season, and he's been named, it's only at 18th man, but the fact that he's there, just a battle heating up for the fullback spot alongside Chance Nickel-Klukstad. And also,
the Waz are a bit short, actually, in the halves. So Chance, he played a bit of six on the All-Star game. He threw an absolute stunner to Jacob Laban. So maybe something there.
Also, the Warriors, Leka Halasima named on the bench. Kurt Capewell and Jacob Laban named to start in the back row. Now, it's a pretty strong forward pack name. The likes of James Fisher-Harris isn't there after playing decent sort of minutes in the All-Star game, but are you concerned about Leka being named on the bench, or is it a case of come round one, if he's named to start in the back row, irrelevant?
I'm very concerned because even if he starts, that could mean Jacob comes on for him, or we don't know what his minutes are going to be.
Especially after weirdly playing centre last week.
Yeah, I've put a line straight through him. Not to say you can't pick him up if he gets a role, but he's still very young. They're probably working out how they want to use him. So
depth is not an issue in the back row.
Yep, so no, I won't be picking.
Yeah, huge one there. At the Tigers, Makasini, a hat-trick on the weekend. 1 try at centre, 2 tries on the wing. He does start on the wing. There's no Dryle Skelton inside, so it is worth noting. I believe he has it might be shoulder issue or something, but he is out injured, so it doesn't mean Makasini is starting round one. They have the bye round one, the Tigers. We won't know. That being said, seriously, if they don't name Makasini in round 2 on the wing, they're kidding themselves. What a freak. Yep. Also, no Terramay spy. Coming back, obviously has an injury niggle of his own. For anyone looking to start Terramay, would no trial features concern you? Or, again, because they're probably looking at round 1 bye, we don't really need, not get minutes into him, but we know he's fit as a fiddle.
Yep.
Do we just wait to round 2? And if you were looking to start him, no concerns? Or
I just wouldn't start him because, they've already said they want to play him reduced minutes this year around that 60 mark, down from 73, 74, whatever it was per game. We don't know if he's healthy based on this. I wouldn't necessarily be concerned, and I think he'll come out, play 60 minutes and still probably average 75, 80. But I just think at his price, there's no need to get him initially. There's too many little flags there where you can just check and upgrade to him around 7 or 8 or whatever it may be, or earlier if you can, also, once we know what's happening.
Also, what's not to say that hopefully the Tigers are transparent about it and there's nothing to worry about. It was a very minor little broken toenail or something. But what's if there's more than meets the eye?
Yeah,
and he comes out and plays 45 or 50 minutes. We don't know. So when you're paying that much for a front rower, it's risky to me.
It's a no for me. To start.
Isaiah Papali'i starts on the edge at the Penrith Panthers. Potentially eye-catching. That being said, there is no Liam Martin or Scott Sorensen. I think Liam Martin has an injury cloud as well. I don't know what's going on with Scotty Sorensen. Battling to stay on the field at the moment, Scotty. So hopefully them boys are okay, but don't get too excited about the ITAP edge thing based on the outs there. At the Sharkies, Sam Stonestreet, named on the wing, gets first crack at Ronaldo Mulitalo's vacant wing spot. Jesse Colquhoun starts at lock in a near full-strength Sharkies pack. Not a shock, but good to have that reaffirmed, and one that is in my team at the moment. At the Sydney Roosters, by DCE and Sam Walker starting the halves together. Huge watch.
I can't wait to watch
for
that.
So many reasons, and so many Supercoach relevant reasons, because I want to see the impact that these two have on that entire team.
Well, all I know is Saturday 6 o'clock game. Sammy Walker and Cherry together. That's really going to test my no beer weekend policy. Might just have to be a couple. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to watch and just enjoy it and see what happens.
You can have a schooner for every time they step on each other's toes, because I think it's going to take time for these two to make it work. They're just so contrasting. Does DCE take a back seat? Does Sammy Walker take a back seat? Much like your visit to the docks of Savo, there's going to be some teething issues. I think,
well, there could be. No, I do trust Cherry to he'll figure it out pretty quickly. Not to say it won't take time with Tedesco and a new dummy half and all the rest, but I think Cherry will just go, I've done it all for so long, I can just sit back now and just play my footy, which I think he'll quite enjoy.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into it now because it's a bit of a guessing game, but I'm very intrigued by the Roosters starting pack for round one. Nat Butcher, he's starting on the edge. Su'A Wong, he's off the bench. He played, I think, lock on the weekend. Obviously, Victor Radley suspended. There could be some opportunities at the Roosters early on. I just do not know which way Robbo's going to go with his middles and edges or what the plan is. You know, Angus Crichton will lock in one edge, but geez, playing around with some options there, as he does tend to do in the preseason. Mate, at the Parramatta Eels, sure, this is so Jason Riles. He's just like, no, you boys did a good job last year. I'm going to stick with you. And the new highly touted recruit, you can earn your spot. Sean Russell and Bailey Simonson named to start. Brian Kelly, extend a bench. He's saying, come on, mate.
Earn your way, mate. Earn your way.
Win your spot.
I love Riles.
Legend, hey?
Also, who was Sean Russell on the weekend carving up?
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Jeez, he looked good. Not that I'm picking him, but he looks good.
Yeah. Jack Williams, the mighty Coombstown. Fun facts by. I don't know if you know this yet. Coomer is now home to has the best strike rate of Winter Olympians in Australia ever.
That is geez, that's made me very happy.
Josie Baff from Against the Odds won gold over in Milan over the weekend. Between her and Tora Bright, that is 2 gold, more than any other town. Shout out as well to Jindabyne, before you Jindy listeners get into me. 40 minutes away. Josie Baff, born in Cooma, resided in Jindabyne, 40 minutes away growing up. Nonetheless...
Sounds like Cooma girl to me.
Sounds like Cooma girl to me.
And
well.
Tora Bright from the top of our street. Shout out to Chris Street. So I thought the fun fact was going to be that myself and Jack Williams' better half, Megs, won a Div 1 Oztag title some time ago, and she's actually the pick of the family. She can play sport, that girl.
Jack Williams, on the same note, beat me to Cooma Stallions' first grade, Rookie of the Year.
Ooh,
ousted. Back in 2013. He was about 15 years old and played about 4 games. And I was like, come on. We know he's going to play NRL.
Yeah. He doesn't need this.
This is the peak of my career. I need this. I'm like, Jack does not need this.
That's tough going.
Anyway, he did enough in his 120 minutes on field to win that one, but we'll let it go. Alrighty. Suafa'alongo, first crack at the fullback spot for the Melbourne Storm. Nick Meaney at centre, Will Warbrick on the wing. There are reports that Warbrick was under an injury cloud as well, but scratch that one. Lasati on the edge along with Joe Chan. I mean, because there are other players out, etc., I don't think there's too much to look at there. Fa'alongo, we knew he was sort of going to get first crack at fullback anyway, at least in the trial.
Man, that's a fun watch as well. Saturday night's looking good.
There's some good teams this week.
Yeah.
Yep. At the Bunnies, they are full strength. Aside from some halfback issues, I said there was no injury issues. Poor old Jonah Glover, broken jaw, I believe. Jaden Sullivan's under an injury cloud. Jamie Humphrey suspended the first 2 rounds. So Ashton Ward gets the first crack at halfback. Matty, Brandon Smith, starting at number 9 is a big one. Mamazelos off the bench. Yep. Mamazelos also started in the trial on the weekend and played decent minutes in the Charity Shield in a weak team. But, mate, the Bunnies look ridiculous. Let's start with them and your thoughts on Cheese getting named at 9 ahead of Mamazelos, and then if there are any other maybe eye catches in the team list for you.
Yeah, I heard a week or 2 ago that they were flirting with the idea of starting Cheese at 9, which I didn't expect, to be honest. Like, I thought they would start either Mamazelos or Garlic there and then have Cheese come on after 20. We still don't really know, and we're not going to find out this weekend because Mamazelos and Garlic are also on the bench at how many minutes he's going to play, what kind of role he's going to play, blah, 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 blah. So I guess it will be very, very, very small risk picking him, but I think it's a no-brainer, really. Like, he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's probably going to play a bit of hooker, but he'll play a lot in the middle as well. He'll be very, very busy, Brandon Smith.
Well, what it says to me, and dare I say it, Guru might have got something right for a change. Rue sort of suggested that he would start Brandon Smith for that first 20. Let him get through the dog work, and then you have Mamazelos coming on fresh, sort of 20, 25 in, and Cheese can come back, whether he shifts straight away or comes off the bench into a middle role at lock forward. That could be what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's not what I expected, but I don't hate it. And, I think with a 6-man bench now, I think they're going to have all 3 of them. I think they're going to have Cheese, Mamazelos, and Garlic. So it's going to take a few rounds to figure out how they're going to do it all. Not all of them are going to play. I'll stop myself right there. They're not going to have both Mamazelos and Garlic playing, but I think they'll all be on the bench. So, yeah, they're all a bit of a watch. But, yeah, Cheese for sure. And it does excite me as a South fan having him starting, having the best possible team on the field to start the game.
If you add Cheese not that long ago was a Dalian medal winning hooker.
Yep.
If he can regain that form, holy hell, that team.
South could do anything. They could do anything. And with Payne Haas coming next year, look, there's a number 7 spot up for grabs this year, let alone next year. But with Payne Haas coming and all these guns, young sevens around the country are going to want to come to South. So, yeah, in a year, South are going to have a really good team. But I do think that this year they're going to be good. Yeah.
If you can sort, the thing about your 7 spot, Jaden Sullivan's always had promise. He just hasn't quite found it. But Wayne Bennett seems to have unlocked something in him.
Yep.
Ashton Ward, he's got promise. Jonah Glover, a bit luckless at the moment. But if any of these guys, Jamie Humphries
as well.
One of these 4 guys puts together a solid season. Look out.
I remember I think it was this time last year, we were talking about the Raiders and we were like, just one of their guns has to have a big year, whether that's Strange, Weeks, or someone else. And Strange and Weeks had both had amazing years, and Canberra got the minor premiership. So it can happen. It can definitely happen, and all we need is one of them to kick.
I'm all in, mate. The Bunnies are not only making the top 4; they're winning the comp.
Wow,
they're winning the comp.
I love that. Well, I love that.
I think it's Wayne Bennett.
It'll be the greatest grand final in a long time. The Dolphins and the Bunnies. Just exciting, but it's just got a buzz about it.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
That is mint.
Well, that's round 1. Dolphins versus South.
There you go. First and last game of the season.
All righty. Spy, we have on our website the updated actual player prices and averages under the new stat system. We had sort of post-podcast last week, some clarification from News Corp and Tommy Sankster on socials, etc., around some of the metrics in the scoring system. So we're able to update our article, but also, and more importantly, we got access to the exact averages from 2025 based on the new scoring system and what their 2026 starting price should be. It is via Stats Perform, who are the new data provider. Awesome to have. Free article on site. It has about 200 plus players on there. Go and check it out. We're not going to go through all of them because it is on the website, but mate, I did want to flag just the biggest movers and shakers. Actually, we're not looking at shakers. We're looking at movers. But starting from the top, this is based on cash differential on their actual starting price in 2026 Supercoach to what it should be under the stats from last year, under the new stats system. Stafford Toa is number 1 on the list with an 88 cash differential. So his starting price is $484,000, should be $572,000. The old average is 49.5, new average 58.5. Moses Sully. He has a $71,000 difference, going from $476,000 starting to $547,000, the average of 48.7 to 56. Matty Nicholson, interestingly, number 3. I reckon, and it's a $64,000 difference. Remember, there was at least one blow up, I remember, and I can't remember who it was against. There might have been a match winner late, and I remember Matty Nicholson threw a bit of a cut ball, and he didn't get a line assist or try assist from it, and someone else got it. And again, in a pretty small sample size because he got injured early. There's a few points on top of that.
Yeah.
I just reckon he must have missed a couple of try assists or line assists at some stage last year.
Got added on.
It's bumped up.
Yep.
Regardless, I don't think Matty Nicholson's relevant because, he's playing again this weekend, but there's just a lot of back row depth at the Raiders.
Stacked, yep.
Val Holmes, he'll play in Vegas, it sounds like. However, there is a hamstring concern there. So I have actually gone cold on Val Holmes. A $63,000 price difference. Priced on a 75.1 average, should be 81.6. The next 2, Herbie Farnworth and KL Iro, the centres. It's all about the centres to start the season. They are all around that $60,000 to $61,000 price difference, underpriced by that. Spy, not so much thoughts around those. Do you have any others that you'd like to flag that have caught your eye from this article?
I will say on Holmes, Herbie and Iro that you can get keeper centres underpriced. So once you're able to get those blokes in, if you can start with 1 or 2 of them, it's going to be very handy because you can just then hold them for the year.
Yeah.
So you're saving trades, which is huge. And slightly off a tangent here, but that's why I'm also happy to spend up on a couple of blokes who might lose 50K, but also could score 150 early in the season. You don't need your whole team to be making your money. If the majority of your squad's making your cash, and you got cheapies flying, then not everyone has to be making money. You can still lock in a couple of guns early. That's for another day.
The thing is, Spy, it's the reality is that a lot of these centres, or basically all centres, I think are undervalued. But That's not to say they're going to get that tip on for that line assist or the try assist early. However, there is going to be ones where all they do is catch and pass the ball, and they're going to get a try assist and line assist. Like, it's
Very handy.
still need it's Supercoach, it's fancy sport. You need luck to go your way, but there are going to be those ones we just need them to drop for your relevant centres that you
blokes
pick.
you've got, yeah.
And that's the fun of the game. There's going to be some monumental blow-ups early on about when players do and don't pass the ball in little bits and pieces, but look, that's just part and parcel for the game.
Yeah, that'd be different.
Yeah,
But that try assists.
Yeah.
That's all good. Passion.
Worth noting as well that around the new stat system using from NRL Fantasy, they don't necessarily award a try assist for every single play.
They're way harsher than
Yes.
the other
Yeah.
one because I've done a little bit of your draft stars and the daily fantasy stuff, and that use the NRL stats. Yeah, they can be pretty tough sometimes.
You have to do something. A lot of the time in Supercoach, they will just give it to a player because he swept and threw a ball and then a player did everything. But like in NRL, the NRL stats, they want you to have impacted the play.
Yeah, and it's not crazy. Like
No.
they're not looking for reasons not to give it, but occasionally I've seen a couple of them like, "Ooh, nothing there. Okay, interesting." Outside of that, I've got Isaiah Yeo, who initially we sort of, while we're figuring it all out, seemed like he might be 10 points a game more. I think it might be 5 or 6, and I'm not going to get too caught up on whether it's half a point more or less, but he's got some value there. But what I really like about him is he also had his worst Supercoach year in about 5 seasons last year, so you get both cracks at him. One, a redemption year with Penrith, and the added value of the scoring system. So that's why I quite like Isaiah Yeo.
On Isaiah Yeo, and again, I understand he's a forward, he's a lock forward, and I don't know if I mentioned it, which one of the many shows doing each week, but like, I just think there's more attack in him, right? Like, he's got really good footwork at the line. He's an outstanding ball player. Like, he had 1 try all last year and played just about every game of the season. Missed about, 4 or 5 for the Panthers last year, most of them restings. He had last year only about 2 or 3 try assists. I think 3 try assists for the year. 3 or 4 try assists for the year. I just think he's got more in him.
Yeah.
So,
Even without the new scoring, he'd still be someone who you could potentially start with just to get back to his norm and make some value, then have a think about things, but I quite like him. On the other side of the coin, though, I've got Mitchy Moses, who took a big hit, but again, he didn't play a lot of the year. So I've looked at some previous seasons from Mitch, and it's a little bit up and down for halves. There's a couple there where he wasn't impacted that dramatically, so I'm not getting overly caught up in that. Sure, he's not going to make more. He's not going to get more points under the new system, but it might not be as bad as you think. Just depends on how the game goes. Sometimes it'll fall your way, sometimes it won't under the new system. Jerome Hughes is similar. He copped a bit of a beatdown last year in terms of the average difference, but there was 2 other years out of the 3. 2 of the 3 previous years, his average barely took a hit at all. So it just depends how the tries unfold. So I still think there's some value in Mitch and Jerome there, and you're sort of rolling the dice a little bit on how the tries fall. But, it's not all... We're basing it off a 1-year sample, a lot of this stuff, whereas if you can get your head around some previous years, you might be able to find a bit of a pattern. And often the pattern is there isn't a pattern. Just depends what happens that season. Like, we don't really know. Whereas fullbacks are different. Last year on the sweep, you knew consistently they were going to get them. This year, it's all just going to depend how the try plays out. And is there an extra pass after a line break and all that stuff? So that's fun from a view of, like, things won't always be the same. So I'm fine with that.
Well, we'll get to our pods very shortly, but seriously, looking at it might change come round 1 when we get team lists and, people really knuckle down with their teams, but I was suspecting that because we have all these undervalued players and whatnot, teams might look similar. Early on, we're looking at their sub 20 and sub 15 and sub 10% owned players. There are options everywhere. Like,
it's awesome.
I've got a bunch of players already in my team at sub 10%.
Thank goodness, because that's
great.
That's awesome. That's what we want.
Huge win so far. Just touching on a few of the tackle differences between the NRL stats and the Fox tackles that were utilised last year. So the Charity Shield was probably the best example, and we've got these up on our socials, but some pretty substantial differences, Spy. And I tried to get the players just with the bigger tackle counts to see what the variances were, but Hamish Stewart, for example, 39 tackles on NRL, 30 on Fox. That's a 9-point swing straight off the bat. Of course, you add in things like missed tackles and whatnot as well, but massive. Damien Cook, 33 tackles on NRL, 26 on Fox, a 7-point swing. Ryan Couchman, 33 tackles on NRL, 21 on Fox. Massive ones there. Mamazelos had a 10-point swing. Hubner a 10-point swing. Bronson Garlick made 45 tackles on NRL, 32 on Fox. Interestingly, Toby Couchman robbed. He had 25 on NRL and 26 on Fox. He was actually neg one.
They've dudded him one.
Yeah, but like I know we have stats from last year and I get that, but we're starting to see some of these big differences come into play. And like I did another post around players who had limited minutes and there was still some pretty significant changes. You add in like an Isaiah Yeo who will play 80 minutes a lot of weeks. There's going to be some big swings there.
Yeah, and what you'll find though, and this is just a little bit speculative on my behalf, but it could vary a lot game to game. Just on, you might say I'm playing and tackling in a game. I might have 10 third man in tackles just because that's where the ball went, or I might have 10 tackles straight at me. So like from game to game, we could see a bloke who gets 10 more and then 0 the next game. Yeah. So even starting the season, you still need a few things to fall your way to get that added advantage. Like forwards will naturally have some more, but you might have 2 weeks where you're just dead unlucky. And you're like, I've got nothing out of this.
Yeah.
And then you sell them, and the next week they have plus 15. So
I
you've just got to.
you, I'm potting up on Stephen Crichton round 1, and he's not going to get a line assist or try assist for the first 3 weeks, and I'll have to sell him because his break even will be huge. And I'll be like, and again, the beauty of Supercoach, you sell him, then we go bang bang, and you go, you win some, you lose more.
That's it.
A few other little eye catchers from the weekend, Supercoach relevant. Lasati down at the Melbourne Storm, 41 tackles in that game. Crazy in a pretty short amount of time. 27 on Fox, a 14-point swing.
Hope that sticks.
Yeah, Sammy McIntyre at the Cowboys, 28 down to 16. He had a 12 swing. Reid Marnie got an extra 6 in sort of limited. Well, that was a weird game, that one, anyway. But yeah, just worth flagging. Guys, coming into 2026, make sure you get your financial goals for the year sorted in style. So if you're looking at getting into the housing market for the first time this year, get the journey started by booking with the team at Mortgage Choice SCW. You might be making that leap into the investment market or saving some cash by refinancing your current loans. Whatever it is you're after, Paddy and the team at Mortgage Choice Sutherland, Cronulla and Wollongong, they get the year started for you on the right foot. Best of all, it's free of charge because you listen to this podcast. Heaps of listeners have reached out over the years. All you have to do is mention SC Playbook when you get in touch. You get a free consult worth $129. To do so, hit them up on Instagram is the easiest way. Mortgage Choice _SCW, or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. Doesn't matter where you are based in Australia, jump on a call and they'll help you out. Spy, pod hunting. Pod, short for point of difference, low ownership players. I went to do sub 20% owned and I was like, we'll be here for 3 days.
Yep.
I went to do sub 15%. I'm like, we'll be here for 2 days. We've brought it down to sub 10% because there are so many relevant players. And, I mean, in that 15 to 20% category, I've already got Cam Murray. I've already got Toby Couchman. Slightly above that. And team lists have me a little bit worried. But I do have Lecker, who's only at 13%, but he's possibly on the outer for me as well with concern around minutes. I have Helam Luki, who is 12.6%. I have a huge list of players below. I've already got Jai Gray at 7.2%. I have Moses Sully at 1.8%. It's bonkers.
When I did my reveal last week, the reason it took so long to write is because I was adding in a section about guys I've also got an eye on and one in my side.
Yeah, you needed a new
and there was like 40 people, but it's good. Other years you're like, there's not really many.
Yeah.
Don't have my eye on many, and I'm like all over the place, so it's good.
The halves at the moment, like halfback and 5'8", there are like 5'8" is a bit meh. I'm also starting the petition. If Matty Burton misses Vegas and Galvin gets 5'8", give him dual because I'm picking him.
Oh, I'll follow you in.
Nice. We could have the same team.
I love gals.
All right, let's have a look at some pods. Who is at the top of your list from the top down?
All right, I've split it into forwards and backs. I've just got 4 forwards noted down. The first is Keon Kaloamatangi. A lot of us will remember what he did last year when he went to the middle. In fact, games in the middle, he averaged 80 plus in 70-odd minutes a game. He's at 10% ownership. Tell you what, Wayne has absolutely no reason to preserve him for future seasons. They just want to win a comp. So
that's true.
Is he like... He's someone that's not in my side, but if he's going to average 80-odd again, I don't know what he's priced at. I think it might be 68 or something, I'd a guess. But he could be massive, and he's 10% ownership. So have a little think about him, big Kaloamatangi.
Yeah, so Keon Kaloamatangi starting the season at, what do we got there, $666,000. I'll tell you the other thing about Keon, and We never wish injury upon anyone, especially the Bunnies, who, as I said, I'm all in on this year. But they do have a tendency to strike up a few injuries in recent years.
Yeah, he's got to cover.
If that happens, firstly, what's going to happen is leave it to an outside back or a half, whatever, with the 6-man bench. They're just going to straight swap them, which means less forwards to play with,
Yes.
and he's a man who can pick up extra minutes. So
And the thing about Keon, even if he plays 60 minutes, he's probably going to average what he did last year in the middle anyway. So it's like, I feel like his floor is what his average is with some upside, and he's very reliable, especially early in the season. Big work rate, can still score a try. So he's flagged my interest at that 10% mark.
Mate, I can't believe this bloke, and I mean, it's not a big team, so I probably should be able to believe it, but Blayke Brailey's at 10.5% ownership. Now, he absolutely erupted last season when he sort of got that license to run, and he said it on radio that, I need to run more, and he'd been given it, and scoring went through the roof. And he starts this year, as we know, under the new stat system. We just spoke about the tackles, but he's one that's going to benefit, and he's going to get more tackles under that. So I feel that I'm reluctant to say I don't know if he's starting undervalued, because I think he's going to get more tackles, but he also erupted last year with his running game and had a lot of try assists, line break assists, these sorts of things in the back end of the year. Is he going to repeat that early in the year? I'm not sure. Nonetheless, for pretty comfortably, in my eyes, the second best hooker in Supercoach, potentially surpassing Harry Grant this year. He did last year. Very low ownership.
Yeah, he'll stay low ownership because Harry's 40k cheaper. So everyone's just going to flock to Harry, I think. I'm flicking between both. I really want to start with Brailey. The other part of me is Harry's cheaper, and I just think with Pappenhausen out of that team, I think the Storm play a little bit more direct, which suits Harry perfectly. All depends on salary cap. And I'm not starting both. It's a lot of money to tie up in hooker, so it's like...
I think they're like the likes of Reid Marnie, Jake Simpkin. You add in Cheese. I mean, people already had Cheese, but his potential starting role now. Like, if Cheese starts, he becomes a lock into your team, I think. If he's off the bench, I can see well where you fade him. But I don't think you need the two-gun hookers to start.
And Harry's playing this week, isn't he, for Melbourne? Because I really would want to watch their style of attack. So it's a little bit more through the guts, like I think it could be. Because last year they gave so much early ball to Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen that Harry didn't have to do much.
They did.
It's just how they played. If he starts to run off Harry a bit more again, his numbers will go through the roof. So it's a big decision. But I wanted Brailey from the get-go, so I'm sort of like, I don't like changing my mind on that. But the salary cap might just force my hand. I'm trying to fit a side in. It might have to be Harry, but we'll see. But I love Brailey.
And yes, Harry is featuring this weekend. Mate, who else on your list?
Who else we got here in the pack? We've got not a lot to add here, but Kai Pearce-Paul was very good for a night side that struggled. His numbers go up under the new stats. He makes a lot of tackles. He could potentially offload the ball more under Benji as well. We've gone from an O'Brien coached Knights who were very, very, let's just call it as is, boring, to Benji, who is not scared to promote attack and offload in the footy. Kai Pearce-Paul could be a steal this year, but he's expensive. He's got the buy round one. He's just someone, he's 1.1% owned. I reckon he could be really good, and for any draft players out there, could probably be a really good draft pickup.
Well,
he just intrigues me if he starts to offload more with the tackle boost.
Offload, as we hope Kai Pearce-Paul does a lot this year, to Matty the Waterboy, because I know that Matty was extremely keen on Kai Pearce-Paul coming into this episode. Matty, he caught your eye and he hasn't even played yet.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, based off how he was last year and what we know he can do, it seemed like, especially, at points last year, he seemed shackled. He seemed shackled at the Knights, and I think that's not going to happen with Benji. I reckon he's going to explode this year. So if he's already averaging, what was it, like 60, 61 last year, and he's supposed to go up anyway because of the new system, and I think he's going to play significantly better, especially in attack, then I think he's going to make some money this year.
Keen to watch him this Friday night, actually. Like, there's a lot of guys this weekend where I've got a real eye on them to see how they play and how their team plays with them.
You know, one of those blokes for me, Spy, is a bloke, again, very low ownership, but it just shows how wide open the game is this year. But sitting at just 9.1% ownership, it's Angus Crichton at $610,000.
Gussie.
Now, what I like
The Last
about
Dance.
big Gus Bass in his last dance, firstly, last dance, is like the big fella will want to go out with the premiership.
Absolutely.
In a pack where minutes are a question mark every week, he's an 80-minute edge man. 2 years ago, he absolutely exploded. And that season, he averaged 78 points per game, and that was only 74 minutes per game because the start of the year, he was coming off the bench and a few things going on. Once he started, his average was actually well in excess of 80 points per game. Last year, the attack didn't tend to come. He only averaged 62 points per game, but it was in 80 minutes per game. He scored 4 tries in the entire year. He assisted 1 try last year. He feels safe to me with upside, and he's another one where I just think with these more tackles getting rewarded for third man in these effort areas, which he's very good at, I like him, and he's very low ownership.
I like that shout. I think first thing that came to my head then, just unprompted, was, is he past it? Is he getting a bit old? And I looked down, he's just turned 30 last week.
I know.
He's like, that's prime. So, gee, I do think the bounce back is on for the Chooks. I think they have a big year, and there's no reason Crichton won't be a big part of that.
He averaged last year 62.4 points per game, 67 under the new system, and he starts $44,000 undervalued. And you just, in a Roosters side, which I know could, should, would, might, may not, but probably will be red hot this year. I'm
extremely tempted.
You're just following all my picks, Spot.
That's good. It's good from you.
You're chasing all my picks, the Crichton boys. Any chance you're picking your own player for round 1 or what?
Well, not if I don't have to.
You're getting to guru territories. Who else you got?
Who else we got here? Tallis Duncan. So, from now, round 9 onwards, from last year, he averaged around the 74 points per game. He shuffled between centre and back row. He's a gun, but he's playing on the right edge. That doesn't necessarily mean he can't perform there. We just haven't seen him on the right yet. Matty, Tallis Duncan, how do you think he'll go? It's hard to it's hard to know. When you're switching heads, you don't know how the combinations are going to play out. But bloody hell, the boy can play and he could be underpriced.
It's hard to say, purely because we're so stacked on that left side. So are they just going to go there all day? Are they going to undercompensate? Yeah. Would that be right? Undercompensate and go the other way? Because I felt they did that sometimes when Latrell was there last year, I think there was a game, might have been against the Roosters, I can't remember, when he played centre. They just went right all game. And I was like, what are they doing? And obviously everyone expected them to go left. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'm pretty sure Tallis Duncan's going to be starting on that right edge. And yeah, it is hard because, again, the halfback, we don't know who it's going to be. There's injuries, blah, blah, blah. Like South's left is a bit significantly better, but I mean, he killed it last year and he's only getting better. So
yeah. My knock is just that. I love the bloke, but in a South side that was decimated last year, man, he got a lot of attacking stats, which the glass half full approach is, all right, well, what about in a good full strength bunny side? Why can't he better it? But that's a concern early on. I, as a bloke who has too many bunnies plays in my team as is, I just think they're going to hammer the left. I think it's going to be a case of Cody Walker out there, especially with an inexperienced halves partner around him, no matter who it is. For feeder, Latrell on the left is the key. Alex Johnston looking to break more records, the biggest record of all. I just think they're going to go left. I think they're going to lay on the right, which, to be fair, is going to be through probably Tallis Duncan.
Keeps the hit up, sneak through for the odd try. Yep.
And then they just shape left. For that reason, I don't want right edge bunnies. I want left edge bunnies because I think the right edge could catch a cold. And I know there's a lot of people keen on Campbell Graham as well, who in theory is undervalued, but right wing bunnies, not where I want to be this year. Spy.
I've only got 2 bunnies. I don't know who's in your side, but anyway.
I'm very hard. Yeah,
Carry on.
I have too many bunnies. Anyway, I need to get rid of one. Well, and next one on my list is one I've got Jai Gray currently, and I've spoken about him, but the only reason I have Jai Gray is because earlier season reports were that Trey Fuller was going to miss the fullback spot for the Dolphins. I don't know if it was because Avril had a poor trial on the weekend or what's happened, but I think it's the Courier Mail are now reporting that Trey Fuller might be back in the lead seat to start at fullback for the Dolphins. At that similar price point in the 500s, 8.6%, if he's fullback round 1, I think I'm starting Trey Fuller spy. I look at his last 4 games last year. I think he was coming back from an ACL or might have been an Achilles rupture, whatever it was. First game back in the NRL last year, round 23, 78 points against the Broncos, 49 against Manly, away from home, 113 against the Titans, and then 112 against the Raiders. It was the baby Raiders, but I just think he's hugely undervalued and I'd love to own him.
already in my side. As soon as I saw the post that he could start, he went straight in. And if he doesn't get picked, he'll go straight out. Simple as that. Love him.
Who else you got?
Let's move on to the back line. And I'll combine two Panthers here I've mentioned in previous podcasts. But Casey McLean at 10% ownership. He got knocked out in Vegas. Was it Vegas last year? Really early on because Clementine owned him. He averages 70 points per game without that knockout. He's only getting better. I think he's the kind of bloke I want to own from sort of around 6-7 on when the Panthers open up and they build into their season. But I wouldn't knock anyone starting with him and just holding him for the season because the kid is an absolute gun. But the other bloke over on the right, assuming he's going to play, well, I hope he's going to play right wing, but I don't think it matters which one, is Paul Alamotti. He's 1% ownership. In the 3 finals games last year, he averaged 120 points per game. And his base in the last 2 was 50. That's insane. I also think he's just one of them kids I watch. I'm like, you're just going to become unstoppable.
Yeah.
You are so good. It's not wasn't just a purple patch. I'm like, we've heard like Guru's brother talk about him and stuff, and he's just an Adonis. So
remember when he left the Dogs, and you're sort of like, all right, they've gotten rid of him for a reason, and defensively not quite there. And you look at it now, and you're just like, oh, you know the funny thing though, and maybe it was just Ivan being a genius, but like, Ivan Cleary's dropped him at times as well.
Yep.
And to be fair, like he dropped him last year. Tommy Jenkins came in and killed it, got to finals, and he dropped Tom Jenkins. Like, no, I want Alamotti and explode. So maybe it's just Ivan playing
keeping him motivated,
the best out of people.
But he's, as far as pods go, at 1% on the back of that final series. Because if those 3 games happen in the last 3 games of the regular season, you go, yeah, but people weren't defending. People are half in Bali, whatever it may be. This is in finals footy.
Yeah.
120. I know that Dogs game, he scored about 190. The Dogs, they just didn't really turn up, but also they obviously had a crack. They're not playing no one, and he scored 190. So I think also Penrith are going to be more attacking this year. I just think they started to do it late last season, but I just think they'll use the footy a little bit more, and they won't necessarily rely on that grinded out system of previous seasons entirely, and that's only going to help the wingers. So
Penrith attacking players, to me, they're what's based on draw. And I've touched on it before, but Broncos round 1 away, Sharks in Bathurst round 2, Roosters away round 3, Eels at Combank, Eels home ground round 4, Storm round 5, Doggies round 6. We've spoken about it, and fixtures mean less early on in the season, but they're tough fixtures, they're soft fixtures. You could argue, Spy, give or take maybe the Eels who will be improved, that's the 6 hardest fixtures you can just about get.
It's bloody awful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be Penrith stacked.
I can't touch Penrith outside backs or attackers for that matter, for that reason, with the exceptions obviously being Nathan Cleary, who's just an exception to every rule. Yeah, I can't touch him with that draw.
Yep. Well, I mean, he scored 120 against Penrith in the prelim, so why can't he do it round 1 would be my question.
Against who?
Brisbane in the prelim. So there's one they lost, and it was a really low-scoring game. He scored both tries and base 50, so... I mean, he could also lose his spot to Jenkins at any point. There's always that risk. But as far as flyers go, I reckon he could be a cracker. Otherwise, be ready to hop on pretty quick if they're looking pretty good.
Jermaine McEwen, 7% ownership. Now, he was named in the first trial, pulled out with some sort of niggle. Played in the second trial, and it was off the bench. So they started Thomas Cant in that one. Now, I need to get back up my page of scores, but I believe he featured in that from the weekend. He's one where I understand people dropping him for now and potentially the ownership, but at the same time, he's pegged to me as the starting edge back row for the Newcastle Knights. Perhaps because of the injury concern, he doesn't start and maybe he doesn't play 80, but in his limited minutes on the weekend, he scored 56 points. Now,
it's good going.
There are a lot of Knights players on this list. I know you're about to touch on a couple. I'm not keen on them, but I do think they were worth flagging, but I just think McEwen, who has a good work rate, he's got some attacking upside to him. I don't want to tack us at the Knights, but I think forwards who are going to get through their work. If he starts round 1, I'm probably going to pick him.
Yeah, I owned him back end of last year, and he's a good young player, so I'd be happy to have him in my side. Put it like that. Whether he will land in my side, I'm not sure. But if he's starting, it's hard to knock him at that price, and not all mid-rangers are going to come off this year, but he certainly could.
Yes, Jermaine McEwen is my NordVPN pod player of the week spy. If you're after a point of difference online, look no further than NordVPN. We hear these horror stories, guys, of cyber hacks all the time, and like anything or anyone, the initial thought every time, it won't happen to me. Well, here you go. It happened to me last year. I would have given bloody anything to have my private data protected online. I lost cash, my mobile number, my email, my social channels, my bank cards, and a bloody heap more. It absolutely rocked me, and all could have been easily avoided had I have been with NordVPN. It's premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. Protection aside, we're all sports fans here, and Nord also allows you to access content that's not in your region with one click. If you're abroad, you got a little European vacation coming up this year, and it's the middle of the footy season in the Euro summer, you can access all your streaming services from back home, which is elite. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/SC Playbook. Our link will also give you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link in the podcast episode description box. Trust me, guys, I was hit where it hurts. Protect yourself. Spy. Before we wrap up, was there anyone else you had on your list of pods? And we're really getting to super pod.
Geez, my
range
player
here.
of the week might be NordVPN. It's the first time hearing that, and it's like buying a must-own player, but you can get to return them 30 days in if you don't like them. It's unbelievable.
It's like going into a Supercoach game with a high-risk, high-reward player, and they're like, even if they stink it up, and let's say Khan Pereira gets no tries, no line breaks, no anything, but we'll give you 35 for him.
Yep.
You're safe.
We'll give you 80. Just unbelievable. Yeah, that's awesome.
Good for me, Spy. Good little
NordVPN,
segue
I like
there.
that.
Little plug.
Anyway, what are we talking about here?
Super pods.
That's right.
I know who you're going to say. We haven't spoken about these pre-show, but I know who you're going to say.
The one I did mention pre-show. I've got 4 to go.
Yeah, well, you'll have Knights boys on there, I know it.
Well, I did actually take out live on the show Dylan Lucas. I took out because he's on most of my list, but he's probably about value. So I was like, we'll leave him for now. But he's a weapon, so I'm going to talk about him anyway.
I think there will be good back rowers that are stepping stones to Dylan Lucas. I love the bloke, but
Injuries.
unfortunately, I think the Knights are going to be garbage. Injuries. As I said, I don't know if there's a lot of value in him early. I just want to watch.
Yeah, I want to own him soon. Fletcher Sharp, 2% ownership.
Yeah, knew it.
Pot of the century, if named in the halves. Now he's $800 billion, unfortunately. But he's the kind of flyer. He's got a huge base. He is the best support player I've nearly seen since Billy Slater. Anytime there's a break, he's there.
Yeah, he's good.
That's why Kalen didn't score any points last year for tries, because every time he wanted to, Fletcher's like, got you first, bro. Later, he's everywhere. So high tackle base, runs the footy, doesn't set up a lot of tries, but backs up, scores a heap of points. At Magic Round, he scored a hat-trick for me when I brought him in, so I'll love him forever. But my actual thoughts, I think he's very expensive. You're taking a big risk, but if he was named in the halves, it could be the pod player of the century, and then you can downgrade him in 3 weeks in if he's not firing. But it's risky. It's very risky.
Again, sorry to bash the Knights. Look, it's not bashing the Knights. They had a ridiculous amount of scoreless halves last year, and then they just played on the weekend and went scoreless again in a preseason trial.
But what did Fletcher average in that side?
76.
Yeah. Imagine if they actually score points.
I think they're worse this year than last year.
Well,
And I'm concerned about their pack and their go forward. What platform is he going to have? Is there going to be a player they're offloading to him? I can't touch a tackle line.
Put it like this. I don't have him in my side. So that probably suggests you shouldn't, because if there's any way I'm getting him in, I will. But it just wouldn't shock me if he walks out the first 2 weeks and goes 91-10.
Is there a world where we get to round one, name to start in the halves, let's say Knights look good this weekend, and you start him?
I think the issue is now with the scoring changes, I've got some higher averaging centres. I originally had him 2 weeks ago, I was in my side. But I just think I've had to disperse a bit of cash into the centres now and some other areas. So it might just be a case of salary cap not allowing it. So no, probably not, but I'd love to.
Alrighty. Anyone else, or are we good, Spy?
Josiah Karapani, 0.4% ownership. That he could break out at any point. He's a boss. I think I mentioned it the other week, but Reece and Shibasaki probably take a lot of points off him, because Reece will go through the line and score. Shibasaki scores a lot himself, but at any point, Karapani could just get on the end of 3 or 4 tries on any given day. So, look, I'm not starting with him, but again, we're here for pods. Like, if you want to have a crack at a winger who's not overly expensive, I think he's only get better a year on. I think Karapani could have a monster season. He could maybe get ahead of the curb, so worth monitoring.
Yeah, a couple more. Selwyn Cobbo, who's sub 10% owned, and one that I think Spy actually has in his team at the moment.
Yep.
Sammy Walker, 6.8% ownership. Big watch in that Roosters trial this weekend. Stefano Udakamanu at 4% ownership. And look, if you're higher on the Knights than me and you want to play around with these centres who could explode this year, at least to start the year, Bradman Best, 2% ownership, but he won't be in my team. All right, guys, that will do us. I'm off to see a bit of live country music tonight, Spy.
Yeah, who you got?
White Floors.
There you go.
Some Texan fella or something.
Down your way.
Down my way.
Oh, jeez, I could be in trouble if I
You're
go
no
out again.
chance after the weekend, mate. Spy, thank you, mate. Hope you're not too much PTSD from your dentist appointment with Savo, but
No,
you've
bounce
done well.
back. I'm actually feeling pretty good. It might have sorted me out. I'm playing in the charity match, Sports Shed TV.
Yes.
The Sports Shed TV charity match on Sunday out at Ringrose Park, Wentworthville. Lacing up the boots for the mighty goannas. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
I
Should
hear
be-
you
should
could
be fun.
be playing out of position.
It's up. It's a bit like the Knights at the moment. We're not too sure. I'll put my hand up for a few positions, but we'll let
Named it centre.
named it centre. Yeah, is it mind games? I can't tell. I can't tell you.
You are
find out Sunday.
As I said, I've said it before this season already, but you know we talk about out and out number sevens. You're a specialist number 7 Spy, and you should never leave that slot. So I know there's a few of them watching on. Get the Spy in the half.
All right.
You won't regret it.
Sounds good. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Should be good.
Good luck, mate. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back for beers and break evens tomorrow. Plenty more coming on later this week. A live Q&A on the Discord, aiming for tomorrow afternoon/evening as well. We'll also be at the Playbook, the NRL Supercoach green carpet launch tomorrow night at Allianz Stadium. Looking forward to that one as well. Have a great week.